Man, things continue to look better and better for the Buffalo Sabres. In fact, this is a trade that we have talked about over the past few years, saying, hey, it's a win-win. Win-win because you got two teams that benefited greatly from what exactly the trade provided, and they both kind of fulfilled different areas of their timeline. Well, today we're talking about the Buffalo Sabres once again, and talking about how this trade seems to be a lot more of a Buffalo win, period, than it does appear to be a win-win, at least right now. Now, of course, this is the Sam Reinhart trade that we were talking about here between the Panthers and the Sabres that took place just over a year ago, and when you acknowledge where things have gone since then, it's been really, really good for Buffalo. So, let's just give the overview as to how things went back in July of 2021 when Sam Reinhart, former, second overall? Yeah, that's what it was, second overall pick by the Buffalo Sabres in 2014, had gotten shipped out over to Florida. Reinhart was a pretty highly touted prospect back in 2014, eventually becoming a Buffalo Sabres star, maxing out at 65 points in 82 games played in 2018-19. Now, he was always a pretty good player, but I don't really think that Sam Reinhart became in Buffalo what a lot of people knew he was able to become. It's a very weird thing to say when you talk about it like that, but pretty much, Sam Reinhart was part of a Buffalo Sabres squad that was living through an actual hell. They were going through so many years of turmoil and bad play. You got guys coming in, guys coming out, guys not wanting to be there, like Jack Eichel, etc., etc., and Reinhart was there for it all. He was kind of a product of circumstance rather than his own individual talent, although we all knew that Reinhart was talented enough to justify maybe getting a big contract sometime down the line. It's just with the Buffalo Sabres, there was not really a guarantee that he'd be able to get that contract, seeing as back in 2020-2021 he had a one-year deal for $5.2 million a season. This is why, after posting up the final year of his career in Buffalo, 40 points in 54 games played, Reinhart got traded over to the Florida Panthers in exchange for one Devon Levi, that in which was a prospect we had recently seen at the World Juniors in that same summer, and a first-round pick. Now, a lot of people, myself included, said this was a pretty good trade for both sides back when it was made. Levi had a pretty good showcase for himself against Spencer Knight at the World Juniors, two Florida Panthers prospects at the time going at it, and then you added a first on top of that. There was nothing really for Buffalo fans to complain about. But in 2022, December at least, or I guess you could say the start of 2023, when you look at where these assets are, this is a very good trade for Buffalo. Now, for Sam, we had talked about how Reinhart last year had a really good season, 82 points in 78 games played, 33 goals, 49 assists. He had a career year in all of these metrics. Reinhart had never been this productive. Now, sure, he kind of disappeared in the playoffs. Okay, maybe not disappeared, but he was not as effective in the postseason points per game wise. He only had 4 points in 10 games played. But this season, right now, Reinhart's at 24 points in 35 games, on pace for about 56 points in a full 82. 28 goals, 26 assists is his projection. Sure, that's still a more productive goal season than he has had in any other year in Buffalo, but it is somewhat of a decline from what he had last year. However, when you take a look at the assets that Buffalo received in the Reinhart trade, it's been looking really good for them, and it's arguably been getting better as the months have gone on. We've already made a ton of videos over the past few years talking about Devon Levi, Northeastern University Huskies goaltender, and how good he has been ever since stepping over to Team Canada at the World Juniors a few years ago. We had talked about his stellar Northeastern year, his technically second year, but I guess you could say first year, and how this season, the guy is still going out there and dominating the league. Now, sure, he actually has a negative record on the season right now, an 8-6-3 record, and a .929 save percentage in 17 games played, an admittedly noticeable decline from what he had last year, but still, Devon Levi is a goaltending prospect that could become a number one day, and his numbers and everything, they're kind of pointing towards being in the same mold, sort of, as the next Ryan Miller, which is kind of interesting to talk about, but we've already made our conversations known about that. But when you take a look at the guy that the Buffalo Sabres took with the first-round pick given to them in the Sam Reinhart trade, it gets a lot more interesting. Florida, of course, was a good team in 2021-2022, and so their first-round pick in the process ended up becoming 28th overall. There, the Buffalo Sabres, with possession of the draft pick, took forward Jiri Kulich out of Karlovy Vary in the Czech League. Now, Kulich had himself 14 points in 49 games played for that team. Not bad, considering he was 17, 18 years old in a pro men's league, but he also was Team Czechia's captain at the World Under-18s, posting up 11 points in 6 games in that tournament. Not to mention the fact that in the summer, the World Juniors, the guy was over a point per game, again as an underage player. He was a really good international guy, and his league play kind of solidified that too. This is the scouting report for Kulich back on the EP 2022 draft guide. The Czech forward is moving in every direction on the ice with great speed, using boards for sneaky maneuvers, and he was far the best skater on the ice in every game I have seen so far. He worked smart with the boards, with either sending the puck out of the defensive zone or just making a pass. Zone entries also didn't seem like a problem for him. This is the Dauber 2022 report by Zach Suarez that is written about Kulich. He plays a smart, quick 200-foot game as a center playing against men. His best tool is his skating ability, often relying on smooth crossovers and good edge work to generate speed. He utilizes his speed in the transition game, often looking to carry the puck himself from his own end to the offensive zone. When he doesn't have the puck, Kulich uses his hockey IQ to scan the ice for soft areas of the ice and then enter in anticipation of a pass from his teammates. When watching Kulich, he takes pride in his defensive game, constantly in position to block passing lanes as well as attack opposing players, using an active stick to break up the play. Even though he plays a smart defensive game, he kind of gets out-muscled, and he could use to gain a little bit more strength. But evaluating the rest of Kulich's offensive game has been a slight challenge given poor play from his teammates limiting chances. However, when Kulich has the puck on his stick, he looks to stick handle past defenders before wiring a shot on goal. Kulich could use some work in his vision and passing ability, and at times he attempts to be too creative with his passes, which results in him turning over the puck. But ultimately, he has the potential to be an impactful, speedy middle six center if he can add more strength to his large frame. Kulich, so far, the reason we're even making this video, is absolutely dominating at the World Juniors. I get it, the guy's pretty productive for Rochester this season, posting up 16 points in 24 games played, on pace for 48 points, which is definitely not bad for a first-year rookie, 18 years old, in the top, or I guess you could say second, pro men's league in the world. But at the World Juniors, the guy had himself a hat-trick against Austria the other night, and he looked really good in the process. The first goal of the night, Kulich is in tight. He absolutely wires a top cheese wrist shot on the Austrian goalie. Second goal of the game, he comes in with an absolute bomb of a slap shot, hammering one from the perimeter of the face-off circle, getting it by the goalie. And then the third goal of his hat-trick comes right at the start of the third period. He comes in on the breakaway, does a very nice deke, and pots it by the goalie. Jiri Kulich has been looking like a stud ever since getting drafted by the Sabres, and I mean, this season he's showing off so much more than he had in his draft-eligible year, even though his draft-eligible season saw him put up a whole bunch of numbers at the under-18s and the regular World Juniors too. Kulich is looking like a legit top middle six potential forward that could boast, let's say, 25-ish, 30-goal potential at the National Hockey League level, and when you combine this player plus Devon Levi, it makes everything that the Sabres lost out on in Sam Reinhart feel all the more better, because hey, you got yourselves future here. You got yourselves your potential number one goalie of the future, plus another middle six potential player who is looking really good straight out of the draft. So talk to the comments your thoughts about Devon Levi and Jiri Kulich, how these guys are looking so far after being acquired in the Florida Panthers Sam Reinhart trade. If you're a Panthers fan, talk to the comments how Reinhart has been for you guys. I know things have not been all too well for the Florida Panthers in comparison to last year, and I guess a guy like Sam Reinhart might be suffering because of that, but at the same time, I mean, the guy had a really good season last year. We all kind of know that he's talented enough to get a season like that. It's just everything in Florida has been sort of off ever since Jonathan Huberdeau left. But if you're a Panthers fan, let me know in the comments, how does it feel losing out on Levi and Jiri Kulich? How does it feel having Sam Reinhart on your team? Is it still a win-win trade in your mind? Or is this becoming more so of a Buffalo Sabres win rather than a win-win? talk in the comments your thoughts. I hope you enjoyed this Juraj 9, and bye.